Hi, everybody. Okay, I am going over the chat section, but I want to say hello to everyone first. Hello, everybody. My name is Leigh Bella Ralston. I'm also known as Mommy Leigh on the internet. It is Wednesday, and it's time for another fun class with Faber-Castell USA and Michael Store. And I will be your instructor, and also I will be your cheerleader while I demonstrate how to draw and paint some fun, whimsical folk trees. This class is going to be easy, super fast, and so I hope we don't run out of time like last week. But it's always fun when I feel like I'm such in a hurry. I'm going to try not to blibber blabber too much, but I want to say hello to everyone first. It's nice to see some fun names popping up, familiar names. Hello, Lakita. Hello, Maribel. Hi, Mary. Hi, Julie. Hello, everyone. Hi, Kelly. Some names I can't really read, but hi, Anij. Hello, Anij from Canada. Hello there. Hello from Austin. Hi, Tina, neighbor. Okay. So today's class, we're going to do some fun folk trees. It's perfect for fall, for autumn. I know here in Texas, it doesn't feel like fall at all. It is a little warm than I would like. But you know what? I think that comparison, it gives me excited and something to look forward to. So I'm glad we're doing some full painting because it puts me in that mood. As long as my AC is running, it's okay. So I'm gonna go head over to the overhead cam, but let me take this one photo out. All right, and then I'll switch over to the overhead. So today's class, like what I said, we'll be doing some drawing and painting, and we are going to be using some Faber-Castell Gold Faber Aqua. Now, these are colored pencils, but they're also watercolors, so they're water soluble. And that's what we're going to do. We're going to use them as pencil to create some beautiful textures. And then we'll also use them to create some beautiful wash, the first layer first. And then we're going to build the intensity of colors while we do some layers on top of another. Now, the way I'm going to create mine, I'm going to work in my journal. If you have a mixed media journal, please feel free to do what I'm going to do today. If you don't have it, it's okay. You can just use another extra watercolor paper if you have some, or mixed media paper if you wish. So whatever you have in there. And then we're also going to be working with water, so we need some brushes in here. I have some round brushes. I have a water brush from Faber-Castell in here that I like using because it gives me consistent amount of water when I need it. I don't have to keep dipping. But if you don't have this particular one, then you can definitely use this one here. I'm going to adjust my brightness because we are a little too bright in here. So here we go. So you have round brushes that will work. I love round brushes because they're just so fun to use. I have from number 2 to number 10, although I will not use all of them, but I just wanted to show you just in case. You want to keep like a very thinner tip, maybe from 2. 2 is a little too small unless you're doing some lettering, then it's good. But to hold enough water in here, I think number 4 is really good size for that one. And then if you're, of course, trying to cover a much larger space, then a bigger one, maybe a 6 or 8 is good as well. All right. And then I think in our material list, I have in there some pencils, but the artwork that we're going to do today is not really going to require some pencils because we're going to create something whimsical. And you know how whimsical drawings are. When it's imperfect, then it makes it look more perfect, So we're going to create some imperfectly perfect folk trees. All right. So here we go. The colors that I'm using today, I have that on the list. I think Carrie will be able to share that in the chat section, just in case, for future reference, you need the colors again, you can get them. So I have 131. I have 1, 2, 3. So as you can see, I have some coral colors in here. I have some red. So this is 118. I'm sorry. We have 192, kind of like a burnt sienna. We have a magenta color in here. This is 133. And then, of course, a golden yellow. This one is 183. Green gold is my favorite in the Pitt artist. So then this one is 151. So a deep blue And then we have 154, more like a teal aqua color. We're not going to just do orangey. You know, we always see orange and browns, but I think this time I'd like to play around with some of the colors and change it up a little bit. All right. I am going to go through the chat to see if you have any questions. I'll try my hardest to answer some of the questions while we go along, but I really want to finish this and make sure we really create something fun today. So I have 2 watercolor paper. I'll have one on the side first. We're going to create some 2 extra trees because what I would like is to have some layers, to have dimension. So I think I provided on the list is to use some foam tapes. I have these individual foam tapes, some double-sided, because it will give some layer and dimension, and it's going to be fun when we layer that. Lakita, you're so sweet. Okay, Marge from Nevada. Hi, Marge. All right. So Renee from NYC. I know. Oh, NYC, beautiful autumn there, right? What if I didn't have the exact colors and no magenta? It's okay, my dear. So you can use like orange if you'd like, a more deeper orange color maybe. So play around with your color. You don't have to have the exact colors. Whatever you feel like or however you see fall in your eyes, you can use like deep greens, you know, beautiful browns and deep oranges and red. So you don't have to have the specific color. Whatever color, how you see autumn, that will work. All right, so let's get this class started before we run out of time again. Okay, like what I said, this is going to be really easy. You can use some pencil if you'd like, or if you don't, that's okay too. I have some Pitt artist pens in here because if you want some really deep black, then you can add this in final touches to create some fun embellishments and textures inside our tree. All right, and I am not gonna lie to you, before I started this class, I went ahead and looked at the term for the tree just so I sound like I know what I am teaching. So Sri is asking, I don't have watercolor pencil. It's okay if you don't have the watercolors, you don't have just the colored pencils. It might take a little bit for you to really color around because you know how pencils are. It takes patience. And sometimes I don't have a whole lot of that, but it's okay. So you can color in with colored pencils. Now, we're going to always start with a trunk because this is going to be the size of our tree. So when you start drawing the trunk with the folk trees, we're not going to draw just the regular trees. This is when think of it as kind of like creating an upside down cone. Is that right? Upside down cone. Yeah, because it's narrow on top and then it goes wider at the bottom as you go closer to the roots. I know the terms, right? Okay. So I'm going to start with a colored pencil, or this is the Gold Faber Aqua. I'm not going to use any more pencil because this one is really no brainer. It's going to be simple. I'm going to draw a diagonal line. So anywhere in I'm going to use this so it's much easier to cut because we're going to cut this one. So I'm going to draw a slightly diagonal line. Look at that. It looks maybe straight to you like that. And then like what I said, it's going to be narrow on top. Should I zoom in now? Okay, let's zoom in so we can see. Here we go. And this is going to be the distance, very, very close. So we're going to draw a parallel to the other, but it goes wider going to the bottom, right? And then I'm going to close this in with the curved line, not a straight line, but just slightly curved. And I'll do the same on top. So it's kind of like a magic wand. Woo! I don't know the Harry Potter. I was going to say something clever, but yeah, I forgot. And then we're going to draw kind of like drawing horns like this. And this is the part where I would like for you to play around. You can do the same opposite, same one, or you can skip, but we're going to draw a different tree. So you want to save that for another one, but I'm just giving you an idea. So right now I'm drawing just a little bit smaller on top and goes wider at the bottom. Just like that. My paper is horizontal. Yes, that's correct. And then I'm gonna fill in this area It doesn't have to be perfect because remember, this is water soluble. And once water touch this, we're going to move the pigments around and we'll be able to cover the rest perfectly later. But for now, we're just going to keep doing that. That was my first trunk. Yeah, trunk. Okay, second one, I'll do the same. I think maybe this one I'll make it just slightly taller than the first. Then parallel. And also this one is much thinner than this one. I'll just add a little bit of width on top and then I'll close it in again, just like that. So this one, I'll do just one here to the left and a little below that, I'm gonna draw one to the right side, just like that. And draw the same. Reminds me of a Viking. I don't know why. This is color black. That is correct. So the color black in Faber-Castell is 199. Draw that. I don't think I'll stop with that. Stop over there. And then we'll fill it in again. When I'm creating something whimsical, illustrations like this, like what I said, we're not aiming for perfection. I feel like the more imperfect it is, it really adds to that, what we want to create. That's the exact thing. Okay, and now I am going to use the 183, and then we're going to create the crown of the tree. Yes. So for the crowns, what we're going to do is we're going to not do the normal, curls and all that for the whole crown or the whole crown of the tree. What I'm going to do is we're going to create different sizes that makes it very folky and very whimsical. This one, it's kind of like making a cotton candy. So we're going to create an oval shape. So again, no overthinking this. You cannot create the whole shape all at once. Do small strokes, small strokes like that. And try to fill in that. Just like that. All right. And then we're going to fill it in with color. What we want is we want a deeper color here at the bottom and then lighter on the top. So you want to start with the bottom first, fill it in. Just like that. And we're going to leave like a quarter of this tree without color because we're going to move around the pigments later with some water. So we're just going to leave it like that. Just like that, okay? The kind of paper, this is a water paper that I'm using right now, and it's also cold press. So remember that a cold press is slightly textured. I personally like that because I love the texture that it creates. I love that there's a little bit of pool of water in there that keeps the pigment in one area of the paper. It's a personal choice. Now, you can just be using some mixed media paper. That's okay too. All right. Now, next one is 131. This one was 183. Now, this time my next color would be the 131. All right. So for this one, you can either start it from the top or from the bottom. Which one is going to be more comfortable? Now, I'm going to show it to you, and then you can try it either way. So what's going to happen is the crown here is going to look like leaves. So basically wider at the bottom, and it goes narrow on top, and it meets in the center, all right? And so I'm going to start here on the left side. I'm going to draw one. Second one, oops. And then I'm going to draw 3 and then 1 on the top, just like that. So I feel like now I'm more comfortable going down here. Now, don't worry too much if it's not symmetrical to the other side, because you can always add more width on the other side, just like that. And again, same as the first one, we want to concentrate and really fill in the colors here at the bottom side. That. Like that. Now these pencils, you can blend them. So if you want to add, and I have it here, the color in here, I have a 118, which is really a very beautiful, gorgeous red. So if you have a much deeper color than the first color that you use, you might want to pick that up and start adding it in the very bottom only. Okay, so I'm just going to do that. And I'm going to move just slightly faster so we can really finish the project today. Right, so I have the first two. Now I'm going to start blending the colors. I have 2 bowls of water. I love these water cups, and these are available at Michael's. These are from Faber-Castell because I love it here at home, and I also use it with me when I'm traveling. It's super fun. Okay, and this time I'm going to start with the crown part. Start on the left side, moving all the pigments, just like that. See how that blends? Oh my gosh, so pretty. Zoom in. The number pencil is 131, the second one. And then the deeper color of that is 118. Now, I want to be careful so that I don't blend the black too much. See how I'm not getting any more water. I'm just moving all the pigments on top like this. All right, then now I'm going to clean my brush and go on the right side and start blending here. And that's why having a smaller brush is really helpful also when you're working with some water medium, because then you can really get into the very sensitive and small areas like that. But if you understand the amount of pressure you're going to use to really just use the tip of the brush, then you'll be able to do that even with a number 4, because you're just going to apply really light pressure and just be as careful as you can when it goes to those little corners, inner corners. There. All right, I'm going to let that one dry. I'm going to start with the crown of the other. Again, same. Start on the left side. On the outer. I'll cover the rest first before I try to be careful in those inner corners. Like that. And if you feel like you have too much water, always have a paper towel on the side, so you can like dab the water, the excess water from your brush, and then start blending again. Because once you start, that's the thing about one of the many struggles of watercolors, is that it's just really finding the perfect amount of water that you need to blend and all that. But the more you do it, really, it's going to be super fun, because you already know in your mind, all right, when you put too much water in there, all right, that's too much water. So I kind of dab it in there and then blend again. And remember, I'm using a water brush. So there's just some little bit of water that's releasing from the water brush, but I like it because I don't have to keep dipping and accidentally pick up too much water. So if it releases a little bit too much, more than what I would like, I just dab it in the paper towel or an extra piece of paper if you'd like, if you don't have a paper towel there. Here, I feel like I need more water, so I'm going to dip it in the water and dab a little bit more extra in the paper towel, repeat the same, like that. And the more you build that habit, the more you'll get used to it. You just already know. So cleaning up the edges and all that. Move this around. can clean part of the area so you have much lighter areas in there if you'd like, and then just clean it in your paper towel. It's kind of like picking up some of the pigments and then cleaning your brush. So you're lifting the colors, right? So here I'm going to lift a little bit of colors in there. Same here. And if you feel like the opposite, you feel like you need more, you can always pick up extra color from the colored pencils just like that, and then add more. See how fun that is? Just like that. All right. Here, I'm going to start blending the trunk. And this time I'm going to be really careful because I don't want this to go all over the place. So really, really little bit of water. And if it ends up, blending with the yellow, it's okay. As long as it's not too much, because you're going to create some mud and we don't want that, don't we? Here. All right, and while I am blending the trunk, how is everybody doing? Here we go. I hope that you're all doing well and staying safe and healthy. There. All right. I'm trying to work fast, but also being careful at the same time. Ah! Sometimes I get excited and then my brush goes all over the place. And also, you're going to notice some parts of it bleeding because when your water is really moist with a lot of water and then you start blending the part, you're going to see some of the colors of the black are actually bleeding through the paper. And that's just part of using watercolor because I didn't wait enough to dry this part right here. This time we had a lot of time to really wait for the rest of the paper to dry. So if you don't want any of those bleed through, I will just pause right now and just allow it to dry. If you have any heat tool in there, some heat gun, you can use that to really expedite the drying process. Here. All right. I think I got that one. I'm going to start with the left one. We're going to cut our tree here. Anybody else here love doing some mixed media journaling? I love doing mixed media. I love the imperfect side of things where the paints are melting with paints, a lot of textures. I enjoy it so much. And I think secretly I really enjoy the mess. Don't tell my child that. Because once you know, oh, you like mess, Mom, then don't get mad at me when the house is messy. Right, so I'm gonna go close to my tree, but not really close because I want to create that white border around it. It's almost look like an ephemera. If you do any scrapbooking or any type like that, then you know that. It's just another style. Some ephemera are really cut close to the image, but this time we're creating our own die cuts. Isn't this so fun? We're creating our own die cuts. We are so crafty. I love it. Now, like that. And every time I create like art like this, not type of lettering, because lettering is giving me anxiety sometimes because it really is hard. You have to think about pressures and thin strokes and thick strokes, but it's really fun too. But every once in a while, it's nice to have, to create something that doesn't require a whole lot of thinking process. Love it. Now, this is what I was saying about the Pitt Artist pens. If you have the Pitt Artist pen in black, we can deepen that black later once it's dry. And so it's going to create a very different type of mood and look to that. I should have probably used a much bigger, larger scissor, but it's okay. We'll make do. Okay. I'm going to create this one. All right. And I moved my office around, so my heat gun is somewhere around here. Like that. You know, you can always add some of the gelatos in here too, and I might do that later. I just love using the gelatos too. Like that. All right, so now we have that. We have the other ones too. There we go. Now I'm gonna go and open up my journal because this is where I'm going to draw the rest of the trees, and we're going to repeat the same process that we did earlier. So I'm going to choose which one here. I already have a few. Let's do it over here in this page right here. I'm going to move my waters around. All right. So now we're going to create some layers where some of the trees are going to be drawn in here, and these ones we're going to use some of the foam tape. So there's a little bit of dimension in here and all that, right? So one of the photos that we created, we use a deep blue at the very bottom because we're creating this, it's a mood, you know? So yes, there's no blue ground, it's okay. We're going to make it. But we're going to start before that, just kind of like visually, I want to see where my ground is. So I'm just going to create this like half, but I'm not going to color it right now because I want to draw the trees first. But I know that this is where some of the trees are going to be like that, and some are part of that. All right. So you kind of pre-planning it. You're planning your drawing. So I'm going to start here, and I know I want one of my trees in here. Now, this is going to be a personal choice, up to you. You want to draw a smaller one because we're creating now a scene. So of course, everything here in the foreground is going to appear much larger. So you can add smaller trees in there. And that's what I'm going to do too. So I'll create a much larger one in here because again, this is our foreground. So this one, it's slightly harder to write. I think this is a canvas paper. I'm not sure, but just going to fill it in like that. And then here, I'm going to play with the trunk. Instead of slightly rounded, this one, I'm going to make it really pointy at the top. Even this, like that. And then I'll play around with the size too. So this one, instead of getting larger or much wider going to the bottom, I'll just kind of like, one is big, the next one would be shorter, right? This one is shorter again, smaller. And this one is again, longer or bigger, like that. Fill that in. Just like that. Yes, Julie, it is. I love this one. I think this one is the blue journal because it has different surfaces and I love it. It has like a canvas, it has a denim, and it also has a burlap. So it's so fun to work in this journal. All right, now this time I'm gonna use some of the deeper color, which is the 123, and then I'm gonna use the magenta in this one, 133. So I'll play around with some of the shapes. We did like a much more oval. Maybe this time I'll do like a triangle. Not really, but kind of like this. I'm following the shape of the trunk. And then I'll go more pointier, more narrow on top. And then I'll bring this down and meet this over here, just like that. And then I'll start filling in some of the areas. And this time I want lighter on my right side. So I'll just play around here. I leave some natural highlights on the top and the middle right side of this tree. And then I'll still just color this in. Just like that. And this is how you can create some natural highlights. Although, however, you can also do this later by lifting some of the pigments like what we did earlier, kind of lifting and then, dabbing it in a paper towel and all that. And then I'll add some of the deep color in here so we can really see some of the beautiful blends that these pencils can create. Now I'll just concentrate on the left side. Maybe add a little bit here at the bottom. So the colors are 123 and 133, just in case you missed it earlier. All right. I'll have that here. Okay, then I'll draw I think I will leave an area here to the right side, I think, to create some letterings in there later. I'm going to draw a much smaller one in here. And I want to match the oval shape. So although they're different, but still, it's going to look a little bit cohesive. We'll just use a different color in here, but I'll match also the same style of the trunk. It's just like that. It's wider. Like that. As you can see, perfection is definitely not what I'm aiming for here. And then I'm going to use a different color. I'm going to use 154, and I'll try to do an oval as much as I can. So an imperfect oval. Just like that. And see how I'm doing like short strokes? I am, instead of one big one, because even for me, it's not always the easiest to do. So I just kind of try to do short strokes until I create the shape that I desire. Beautiful word. Here we go. And then I will fill it in with some colors. Just like that. Just like that. And then I'll leave the top part, top right again. Like that. And then I'll use the deeper blue, which is the 151. All right. Oh, they said that it's rainy in North Glen, Colorado. Is it Colorado? Am I right? CO, yep. You know what? I think I've only did a stopover in Colorado, in Denver airport. But I've never had the chance to visit. I'd love to visit someday. Right, same look at this one. We have, everything's on the deeper, on the bottom. I added the dark, and same here with this. Right. And I'll put this one in here. I'll put this one in here. I will leave this one. Now I want to really make sure that everything is a little cohesive. And so I want to add something in here to my top right, just half part of the tree though. And I want to create the same shape that we did here for that one tree. And so this one's a little bit in the foreground. So I'm going to make it just slightly larger, but like this, not too big, just enough. All right. Here. This one. And then I'll do the same style. One and then one like that. Like that, and then other one like this. Just like that. And I'm gonna leave it like that. And then I'm going to use the same color that we used. It's going to be 131. And again, one at a time, one stroke, one down, second. I feel like my tree is crooked. You know, sometimes it's so hard to look at what I'm doing because I'm looking from this. I'm not looking from the top. So I'm relying on the camera to see what I'm doing. And it really does look like it's crooked right now. Excuse my gray hair. So I'm trying to fix this one. All right, well, you know what? We're gonna adjust the right side and add a little bit width. So it's gonna look like it's not overly leaning. So that. You know what? It's good enough. And I have to add some extra width in here. It's okay. We can live with that. Here we go. Here. And then we'll add just some deep red, actually beautiful red. I think this is a Scarlet red, if I'm not mistaken. 118. That's just beautiful red. If you love red lipstick, this is like a perfect red lipstick. It has that orange tint to it, but beautiful red also. All right, I'm happy with this. Should I add a little bit here? Let's see this first. All right, I'm gonna start blending. Have my paper towel, have your paper towel ready. And I'll start from my left, which is this blue one right here. Right, like that. And I'll start here. Ah, it's beautiful blending. Just beautiful. I need more water. Wow. It's like that. Start here, kind of like dabbing some of the water, dropping it in there, and then clean my brush, clean it, and then move those pigments. So see the natural highlights that we created because we left it not colored in completely. And I'm just here, just moving around this line area because I don't want any of those sharp lines. I'm just kind of trying to blend them as much as I can without moving the pigments too much. So we still want to create that highlight. And I feel like I need a little bit more color in here. So I'm going to find that color. I'm going to pick up some directly from the pencil. Like that. And I'll add some in here. Try to avoid the black as much as you can. But if you cannot, it's okay. Picking up a little bit more. There we go. Here, now moving on. But move here. Try to move a little faster, you guys. And again, if you are trying to catch up also, if you don't get to finish this work, it's okay. This class is going to be recorded. If there's anything that you might have missed, or if there's anything that you might have missed, you can always reach out to me on Instagram or Facebook. I would love to help you with any questions that you may have. Of course. And once this dry and you feel like you miss some of those colored pencils texture, colors, blah, blah, blah. Color pencil textures. Once they're dry, you can always come back in and add some of the textures back in, some of those scribbled lookings, because I personally love those scribbled looking ones. The imperfect look, I love it. Even when I'm coloring with colored pencils, I don't go one direction, although I think it's how you're supposed to do it. But I've always been known as a rebel, so it's okay. Picking up some of the colors in here, just adding a little bit at a time, like that. While the paper is still wet, see how beautiful the blending is? You're not creating any harsh blending because your water is already wet. So this part right here, you're doing a wet on wet technique. So the blending of the colors are effortlessly, and it really creates that very soft blended look. Again, if that's what you like. I'm going to try and go over the tree, the line that we created, so there's not too much sharp lines in here. That. Just like that.
Can you hear me?
Go. And then we'll do this. Like that. Color in the orange part. Coral, actually, but it looks a little bit slightly orange. Isn't it gorgeous? How it has this coral is beautiful because I love that there's a pink tone to it, and then there's that warmth of the orange, which is perfectly balanced. I love coral. That. Right, I'm going to let that dry, and I'm going to start blending the trunk. I'll just try and go over it like that. Be careful because some of this, especially the ones that we really soak with water, remember what happened earlier? Some of the parts, the black part started bleeding with the rest of the colors. So if you think it's still wet, and you can always touch the paper and see if it's still wet, or just really try to be careful and just use just a little bit of water to blend everything else. Or if you don't mind the bleed through, then go ahead. Here. Look at how different the papers are. See how deep the blacks are in here? I'm not sure if I just not blended this a little too much or not, because the blacks are so deep in this type of paper. And I think that's the fun part when we're creating, different types of paper gives us, slightly different results. But I think it just gives that little bit of dimension that what I was looking for, because now they look so different. But if you want to deepen that, you can always come back in, like what I said, and then add a little bit more color, more contrast to that. And I'm going to try and not make it perfect. So I'll try and just like that. And if it's thoroughly dry and you want a little bit more deeper black, you can always use the Pitt Artist in here and then add more. Same thing here. But I feel like today I want to stick with the watercolor pencils. Just like that. Here. While these are still drying, I'm going to try and add some colors in here. So I'm not pointing straight up. I'm using the tip and the body of the pencil to cover a much larger space. Like that. And look at what I'm trying to do. I'm trying to add texture to this by playing around with the strokes that I'm creating with the pencils. So I'm not going to try and go one direction only, which is horizontal. Look, I added some blue in there accidentally. It's okay. I think this adds really a visual, a charm, more whimsical look. Just like that. Try not to be perfect with that. I know that it's going to blend with that because some of the paper are still wet. Julie, this one is 151. There we go. This one is really wet. I don't think I want to create blue with that coral. So this one, it's okay because it's going to give that purple shade with the blue and pink together. Just like that. Deeper this part right here, this one also, where the tree is. Like that. I really love this texture. I don't know if I want to blend it with some water. I'm not sure yet. We'll leave it to that for now. Now I want to create that beautiful shade of pink plum on top. So I want to start with the, hold on, with the 132. Start at the bottom first. This is actually more like a, I think a burnt sienna. I'm not sure. I'm going to start here at the bottom. This is where I'll place the trees. Go that. Cover it up. That beautiful sunset color, you can create it by just adding some of the gold here. And we can try and do that because we are here to have fun and play around. Again, notice how I'm holding my pencil. I'm not holding it here like that. So I'm using it sideways. I'm holding it almost like 45-degree angled so that I can use the tip and also the body of the pencil to create a much wider, to cover a much wider area, a much larger strokes using the pencils. And so, you know what? I think I'm going to try and do that. I want the 183, so a little bit of that golden glow. So we'll create that. And it will blend beautifully with the 192. That. And I'm intentionally trying to be as light as I can going on top so that I don't put too much pigment, you know, so I'm easing up the pressure as I go on top of this drawing. And also with the texture of the paper, look how imperfect it is. It's just beautiful, isn't it? Now, if you're not using your journal for this, you can most definitely display this like that. And even with that water, the colors are blending in so beautifully. I love it. I'm going to go around the tree as well to kind of create that glow, a little bit here on top and a little bit here also. All right. Now the question is, should I blend it with water? What do you guys think? I am so torn. I don't know. But before we add the tree, we have to blend it. We have to make a choice if we want to blend this. Like that. Just like that. Yes. All right. Brittany said yes. Lana said yes. All righty then. We're going to blend it. I'm going to use a much larger brush so I can actually finish. All right. So I'm going to start with the blue first. Start here. And again, the way I'm holding my brush is not upside down. It's just slightly 45-degree angled, and I'm covering up a much larger area. I'm using a long round number 10. It's beautiful. Thank you so much, Barry. You're so kind. I'm so glad you guys are enjoying the classes. And speaking of that, we have another class next week, you guys. We're going to create some beautiful fall florals. It's going to be a little challenging, but I challenge you to do the challenge with me. I challenge you to do the challenge with me next week. We're going to create some beautiful florals and some lettering also. This is just a gorgeous blue color. It reminds me of many different things. It's almost like trees in the middle of the ocean. And then there's like a desert color on top. What? This is actually turning out to be very interesting in a very good way. I love it. I love that bright contrast. Because we have the cool tones and then you have warm tones. And it's always to me, for a successful, beautiful illustration, it really is. When I'm mixing my paints, I have to have some cool tones in there. I have to have some warm tones in there. And it just really, truly bring balance to my piece. And this is what I'm feeling right here. Because later when the blue dries a little bit, you can always come back in and just add a little bit of the black or the deep brown, because look at the black once they're dry. Remember watercolors, the moment that the water touch the pigment, you're going to lose a little bit of that saturation of the colors, right? So even though it looks very bright and, you know, saturated and the vibrant, the colors will slightly fade because of the water. So it's not going to be as intense. Oh, look at this gorgeous. Oh my gosh, that's so beautiful. And even the way you blend it, it's like it's going to give you that texture, but also because of the paper that we used. If you don't like cold press because of the texture, I really urge you to play with it because it will give you such different results than what you get with a hard press paper. Because cold press and hot press, not hard press, I'm sorry. The hot press paper will give you a little bit of different result because the paper is slightly smoother than the cold press. But then again, everything, I think it's art is very, it's so interesting, you know, it just depends on who's looking at it. So everything is going to be a personal preference. This is beautiful. That blending is gorgeous. Love it. Thank you, Barry. Almost done. And of course, once this dries, I can then add my other trees using some of the foam tapes. But I would love to know, you've seen it when it was not blended and you see it now that it's blended. Which look do you like better? Love to know that in the chat. I think I like it blended, to be honest with you, because it gave me still, because of the paper that we used, it still gave me this texture of where I applied all the pencils. But it's still wet, so I'm not going to add my trees yet. But once this dry, I'm going to add that. And I'm going to add a little bit of, using the Black Pitt Artist, I think I'm going to add some. I have the brush. In areas that it's dry, I'm going to add some texture to my trees. So I'm going to do a little bit of mark making. So if you want to do that too, you can do so. My paper is really soaking wet. So I'm definitely going to not dare to add my foam tapes in there. But just add some mark making in here before I let you go. This one, I'll spread it around. This one is also really wet here. But the Pitt Artist is water-based also, so it blends with water as well. So it's okay, even if it soaks in there. I like that. And I'll do the same with my trees. And this one, I'm going to create some scallop looking like this. And look at my strokes. I am intentionally making it look imperfect so that it matches the whole, because if I try to do something perfect in here, it's not going to match the whole aesthetic of the drawing. So we're not going to do that. Just like that. And then once this dry, I can add a little bit of lettering and also add some texture and do more mark making in there. But again, I would like to invite everybody next week, September 21, 2022, 5 o'clock Central Standard Time. We have another class. That's the class we're going to do. Isn't that fun? It's going to be Hello Fall. So we're going to create some beautiful florals. We're going to be using some Faber-Castell Albert Dürer watercolor markers. And so instead of pencils, we'll create some beautiful art using the watercolor markers, the Albert Dürer. So thank you all so much for joining us today. I really, really appreciate you for joining in and spending some time with us. Again, as always, I want you guys to keep playing, keep creating, and stay happy, everybody. Until next time, I'll see you again. See you all.